Let's continue. So we did on what we call the introduction to taxation. We did on the introduction to taxation. There is one small bit that is remaining, which is on the exercise duty and custom duty. And just do on that excise duty and custom duty. And then I will just highlight to you the topics that you're supposed to concentrate on. Then we call in the end of the class. So we can check on that part of excise duty and custom duty. These are for the principles of taxation. Principles of accounting and taxation. Principles of accounting and taxation. We have the excise duty and custom duty. And do this within, the shortest time, so that now we can just do a bit of the revision. The excise duty and what we call the custom duty. The excise duty and what we call the custom duty. Now, when we talk about the duty here, we are talking about two types of duty. There is that one we talk of it as a custom duty and what we call the excise duty. On custom duty, here we talk of what we call the duty that is levied on movement of goods across borders of a country. Basically, here it may be what we call the import duty and export duty. So we can begin with the custom duty. Custom duty, and you say it is a tax levied on importation of goods, tax levied on importation of goods, tax levied on importation of goods. You can talk of it as a tax of goods, tax levied on importation of goods, and services across borders of a country. Services across borders of a country. Services across borders of a country. Say it includes the import duty and the export duty. Import duty and export duty. Import duty and export duty. Can talk about the purposes of custom duty. Purposes of custom duty. The purposes of custom duty. Purposes of custom duty. One is to raise revenue for the government. To raise revenue for the government. Number two, raise revenue for the government. Number two, to discourage exportation and importation of some specific goods. To discourage the exportation and importation of some specific goods and services of some specific goods and services. to discourage exportation and importation of some specific goods and services. Number three is to protect the local industries. To protect local industries. To protect local industries. Local industries. And the last one is to restrict importation of harmful products or harmful goods. To restrict importations of harmful products or harmful goods. Harmful products or harmful goods. Let's talk about the import duty. The import duty. Talk of the import duty. The import duty, and you say can talk over the import duty. So it is a tax charged on importation of goods and services. It is a tax charged on importation of goods and services. Importation of goods and services. Tax charged on importation of goods and services. Now, they are also referred to. They are referred to as tariffs. To as tariffs. They are also referred to as the tariffs. So it may be specific. It may be specific, or what we call the ad valorem, or ad var. This should be ad valorem. Ad valorem. So when we talk about the specific import duty, it is a given amount charged per unit produced. Specific import duty. Specific import duty. It is a given amount charged per unit imported. Per unit imported. That is what we mean with that. And then we have what we call in the ad valorem import duty. Valorem import duty. So this one is a percentage import duty. Here we are talking, it is a percentage of the value of goods imported. It is a percentage of value of goods imported. Percentage of value of goods imported. Value of goods imported. Percentage of value of goods imported. Value of goods imported. Again, it is discriminatory, or it may be discriminatory, or non-discriminatory. Discriminatory or non-discriminatory. When you talk about the discriminatory is where different rates are charged on imports from different countries. Different rates are charged on imports from different countries. We also talk of it being non-discriminatory. Non-discriminatory, where the same rate is charged on all. Same rate is charged on all goods and services from different countries. Goods and services. This is from different countries. From different countries. That is on what we call the non-discriminatory. Now, goods subjected to custom duty. Examples of goods subjected. Examples of goods subjected to custom duty. Goods subjected to custom duty include. Now, these are the goods that are subjected to custom duty. We have what we call the machinery. We have what we call the vehicles. We have also the electronics. We have also the electronics. Can even talk about the textiles, food commodities, etc. Food commodities, etc. Those are the goods that are subjected to what we call the custom duty. Goods that are subjected to custom duty. Now let's talk of prohibited or restricted goods. Prohibited or restricted goods, or what we call the restricted goods. Prohibited or restricted goods. Now we're talking about those goods that are only permitted can be, or generally what goods that are prohibited, imports, or we may talk of restricted imports. So we'll just begin with the examples of prohibited goods. Examples of what we call the prohibited goods. Now we'll also talk about the examples of restricted goods. Now, prohibited goods is a forced money or for one. We talk about the forced money, or what we call the counterfeit, or counterfeit currency notes. Number 2, may also talk of the phonographic materials, all kind of materials, graphic materials in all kinds of media. Number 3, may also talk about the narcotic drugs under international control. Narcotic drugs. This is under international control. International control. National control. International control. The one is the answered as waste and their disposal. The answered as hazardous waste and their disposal. Their disposal. Number 5, can also talk about all soaps and cosmetic products. All soaps and cosmetic products containing mercury. Products containing mercury. Containing mercury. Number 6, you can also talk of distilled beverages containing essential oil. Distilled beverages containing essential oils, and what we call them essential oils or chemical products. So these are what we call the prohibited goods. We mean in this case you're not required to import that goods. There are also examples of restricted goods. Restricted goods. The prohibited and what we call the restricted. When we talk of the restricted, they are subject to a condition. And here you may talk about the postal fragging machines. What we mean, there are those authorities that are required to import those machines, like the government. Number 2 also, you may talk about the unwrought precious metal and the precious stone and wrought. Precious metals, and stones, and what we call the precious stones. But 3, can also talk of ivory founder, and the waste. 4, you can also talk about the teeth, hippopotamus, hippopotamus, or we may talk of hippopotamus or unworked, hippopotamus unworked, or simply prepared, simply prepared, simply prepared, but no cut to shape, not cut to shape. May also talk about traps. That is number 3. Traps capable of killing, capable of killing or capturing wild animals. Number 6 can also talk of ocean and bones treated with acids, sands and bones treated with acids, acids. That one is where the tortoise shell, or whalebone, or whalebone hairs. These are the items are restricted. Restricted, we mean there are those authorities that are mandated, or those that can be able to import the what? The items. Those that can be able to import such items is what we're talking about in our case. Now let's talk about now the warehousing of goods. Warehousing of goods. Warehousing of the goods. Warehousing of goods. Warehousing of goods. Now, when you talk of these are goods first of importation, they are warehoused without payment of duty. And this can either be what we call a government warehouse or what we call the boarded warehouse. So just be able, generally the goods are either waiting for consumption or what we call the exportation. So just saying, liable for import, goods, liable for imports, the imports, or to import duty, not for, to import duty, goods liable to import duty, may on first importation be warehoused, may be on first importation be warehoused, This is in a government warehouse without payment of duty, without payment of duty, payment of duty, in a government warehouse, or a bonded warehouse. Now, when we talk about the government warehouse, we are talking about the one that in this case is for the government. Generally, in this case, is the one that is mandated by the government to be storing goods for the importation. So let's talk about the boarded warehouse. Boarded warehouse. The boarded warehouse. So this is the one licensed by the commissioner. The one licensed by the commissioner. Commissioner on any building. On any building. Any building. Or any other place. Other place. Any other place. Is a warehouse for deposit of goods liable. Is a warehouse for deposit of goods liable for import duty. Liable for import duty. Import duty. Liable for the import duty. So this is now where now individuals can be able to get a license to do so. When we talk about the government warehouse, the one now there is laid out by the government for the deposits of goods that are liable for the import duty. That is what we mean when we talk about the boarded warehouse. The boarded warehouse. Let's talk over the dumping of goods. The dumping of goods. Talk over dumping of goods. Dumping of goods. Talk about the dumping of goods. Now, dumping of goods in this case, imported goods are deemed to have been dumped in Kenya if the goods are sold at the lower price rather than the cost of importing the goods, or the export price is in the country which is exporting is less than the fair value, market value, and so forth. So you say goods are deemed to have been dumped in Kenya. Goods are deemed to have been dumped in Kenya. Dumped in Kenya. If number one, The goods are sold in Kenya. Goods are sold in Kenya at a lower price. Lower price rather than the cost of importing. Cost of importing rather than the cost of importing. Number two, the export price in the country. The export price in the country is lower than which is exporting the good is less than which is exporting the goods is less than the fair market value or in that country is less than fair market price in that country Roman number three is where in the country exporting the goods to Kenya, in the country exporting the goods in Kenya, goods in Kenya, I mean the goods to Kenya, not in Kenya, to Kenya, and imported the goods, and imported the goods, and the export price of the goods the export price of the goods in the original country of export, country of export, the original country of export is less than the fair market price in the country. Fair market price in the country. Those are the three conditions under which we say the goods have been made. Now let's talk over anti-dumping measures imposed by the government. Anti-dumping measures, this is imposed by the government. And the dumping measures imposed by the government. So the dumping measures imposed by the government, number one is imposing high dumping duty. Number two is imposing a quota on particular person or organization dumping goods in Kenya, imposing a quota. Now, when we talk about a quota, is the limit of goods that you can be able to bring in a country. So this is imposing a quota on particular persons particular person or countries or organization dumping goods in Kenya, dumping goods in Kenya, The other one, number 3, is having a free shipment inspection in the port, having free shipment inspection at the port, Now, when we talk about the precision the precision inspection, the inspection is to ensure that inspection is to ensure that number 1, only there is no evasion of the duty. There is no evasion of the duty. No evasion of the duty. There is no evasion of the duty. Number 2 also is to ensure number 2 is to ensure the imported goods which have been shipped have been legally acquired. The imported goods which have been shipped are legally acquired, and number C also. Last one is also to ensure the right goods have been shipped per the orders. The right goods have been shipped as per the orders. Now, the following goods are exempted from free shipment inspection. Following goods are exempted from free shipment inspections. Exempted from what we call the free shipment inspections. These ones generally those relate to government importations. So anything that is relating to the government, like for example, ammunitions and the tear gases and weapons. Is as a gava. Number 2 also we talk of goods belonging to the government. Goods belonging to the government. Number 3 also we talk of the charitable goods. Number 4, we talk of the goods for diplomats. for diplomats, goods for the diplomats. Number 5, we can also talk about the goods exempted from the duty. Goods exempted from duty. Goods exempted from duty. Number 6, goods for EPZ, export processing zone. Goods for export processing zone. Number 7, the live animals. By it, you can talk of the current newspapers and periodicals. Current newspapers and periodicals. These goods are some exempted from pre-shipment inspections. Now we can also go to another measure, and that be measure number 4. And that be measure number 4 is getting a clean report of funding. Getting a clean report of funding. When you talk of a clean report of funding, we are talking about the reports that are issued by international transporters. What we need to know is that the imported goods are legally, or the importer legally owns the goods. The goods have been legally acquired, and also the goods have. The one is filling in an import declaration form. Filling in an import declaration form. That is the IDF. The IDF. So the import declaration form generally is the one that will tell us this. It is a form that is applied by the custom department to the importer, and purposely it declares the goods is importing. That is now the importer, and also he has to indicate the correct value of such goods that is being imported. So yeah, and also it's just to enable the government to determine the value and the amount of foreign currency flowing out of the country. This is basically for purposes of determining the balance of what? Payments, the BOP. So the other one is also having an importer code number. Having an importer code number, an importer code number to restrict imports. Code number to restrict imports. This is the to restrict imports by the importers. Code number is just an identification number for the importer. So yeah, mainly we use the code number for processing the imports, and even in documentation. And also, mainly is for the documentation. And this mainly is issued by the customs department, and it only requires you to provide them with what we call a copy of ID, copy of PIN certificate, that is a KRA PIN, and a copy of the passport. Since how? The other one is indexifying the custom audits. Indexifying custom audits. What we mean in this case is that the customs duty is subjected to what we call the taxations. I mean the audits. So that is what we mean when we talk about the import duty. In import duty, that is what you need to know. What are the purposes of the custom duty? What are the goods that are subjected to import duty? What are what we call the warehousing of the goods, the dumpings of goods, and so forth. Now let's talk about the small last part, which is the excise duty. The excise duty. This is now the last one. The excise duty. Excise duty. You have what we call the excise duty. The excise duty. Now, this one is levied on locally manufactured goods, generally imposed on what we call the exercisable goods manufactured in Kenya. So it is imposed on exercisable goods, manufactured in Kenya. Manufactured in Kenya. Exercisable goods manufactured in Kenya. Now, when we talk about the exercisable goods manufactured in Kenya, we are talking about the cases of the wines and spirits, the beer, the bottled water, may talk about the petroleum products, may talk about the soft drinks, the cigarettes, all those are goods that are subject to what? Yeah, so you can just write them, goods liable for to exercise duty, include here you can talk about the wines and spirits, can talk about the beers, can talk about the bottled water, can talk about the cigarettes, can talk about the cigarettes, petroleum products, the petroleum products, and talk of the soft drinks, etc. The soft drinks, etc. Soft drinks, etc. There are also exercisable services. Exercisable services include the services that are subjected to this. Generally, the mobile and wireless phone services, mobile and wireless phone services, mobile and wireless phone services. We also talk about fee charged on money transfer services, fees charged on money transfer services, and may talk of also another fees charged by financial institutions, other fees charged. This is by financial institutions. In most of the cases, when you do transactions with bank, You see there is an excise duty that you do what? You pay. So, yes. Any transaction that you do through the bank, you have to pay that. Now we can talk about the exempt goods. Exempt goods. Generally, the goods, those that are not subject to what we call the excise duty. One is the goods imported in Kenya by diplomats, goods imported to Kenya. This is by diplomats. Also, the goods imported to Kenya by foreign governments. Goods imported to Kenya, imported to Kenya. This is by diplomats. By diplomats, I mean by foreign government. Foreign government. By foreign government. But there is also the goods locally. Goods purchased locally. This is by Kenya Red Cross. Kenya Red Cross. Before, so you can talk about the goods imported by a person changing resident. Goods imported by a person changing resident. By a person changing residence. Changing resident. Resident. Or what we call returning a resident. Returning a resident. Now, generally in taxation, we subject people into categories. There is a resident person and a non-resident what? Person. So a resident person, we subject him as the person who is a resident of that country. And they will be also subjected to what? The tax. The other one is goods, alcoholic and non-beverage. Alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. Alcoholic beverages supplied to KDF, Kenya Defense Forces. Defense Forces. Then another one is one personal motor vehicle. One personal motor vehicle. Motor vehicle. This is imported by a public officer. Imported by a public officer. This is returning from a Kenyan mission abroad. Returning from a Kenyan mission abroad. Kenyan mission abroad. Now we are talking about now the cases of those that are like the police that are in Haiti. If they will come up with or they buy a motor vehicle, in that case, it will not be subjected to what? Excise duty. That is what we need to understand on that part of excise and custom duty. Now, the question that has been tested on the same, on excise duty and custom duty, questions that have been tested with regards to excise duty and custom duty. Um, April 2025 question number, April 2025 question 5A. You are to distinguish between the custom duty and what we call the excise what? Duty. That is through the definition, you know the difference. You know the difference. Also on the December 2024, question number 4A. You are to highlight 4 roles of excise duty in an economy. So, then also we've been given there question of August 2024. August 2024. This is on question number 4C. Your reasons for constant increase of excise duty on certain goods in your country. Generally is also out of the roles of what? Excise duty in a country. So, April 2024, this is a topic that you have to get a question in each and every sitting. So April 2024, we are talking about the reasons for introduction. That is question 4C. Reasons for introductions of what? Excise duty stamps in your country is just the excise duty. There is also what we call in the A, free shipment inspection, the benefits. Generally, the reasons that we've been able to talk about for free shipment inspection. December 2023. December 2023. Question number 5C. You are talking about the offenses under custom and excise duty in your country. You know those offenses? Of offenses of custom duty. One is a failure to pay the duty. Number 2 is a failure to declare the amounts of goods subject to that duty. So, failure to pay the duty, failure to subject the amounts or the value of goods, to disclose the value of goods subject to the duty, value of goods subject to the duty. But there is a failure to submit returns of the duty. Submit the returns on the duty. The last one is importing restricted or prohibited goods. Restricted or prohibited goods. August 2023, question 4C. August 2023, question 4C. You are required, with regards to customs and excise duty, you highlight 4 types of goods that are subject to custom mode control, or generally the goods that are subject to custom duty. We talked about them, the machinery, the vehicles, and so forth. The other one is question number 5A. Circumstances under which duty refundable. So you can write that. Circumstances under which duty paid may be refundable. Talk about that. Circumstances under which duty paid may be refundable. Duty paid may be refundable. 1. Import duty in respect of goods in respect of goods destroyed or damaged while subject to custom control. Destroyed or damaged while in custom control. The other one is where the duty is paid by error, and the duty is paid by the error, where the duty is paid by the error. Number 3, on if the imported goods are re-exported within a specified time frame, the other one, incorrect classification of valuation. That is, if the goods were wrongly classified. And the other one is unjust or excessive duty. Unjust or excessive duty on exempted goods. The last one also, where duty is paid on goods that were not actually imported. Where duty is paid on goods that were not actually imported. When duty is paid on goods that were not actually imported, that is when a refund of import duty can be applied. Refund of import duty can be applied. Circumstances under which Commissioner of Custom and Excise Duty may request for fresh what? Securities. Do you know those situations? Hmm? Securities are just like fresh assets. What they are importing is generally like the goods. Mhm. Mm. Yeah, been dumped in the country, that's sure. They can seek that. The goods are. Mm-hmm. And also talk about the transaction values of identical goods. Uh, and the values of identical goods zinafanana. Ulikuwa umelipa nini? Similar value. Yes. And even you can also talk about if I say that, I will repeat it, because if you say transaction value of identical goods and similar goods, it's just one. Yeah, I think those are the some of the day. Similar. Oh yeah, different. Yeah, sure. So even transaction values similar goods. So we continue. Now in April 2023, April 2023, question 4. What is the claim report of finding? Current report is a report issued by international transporters to satisfy that the importer legally owns the goods. Yeah, we've talked about it, I think. Yeah. See there? Getting a clean report of what? Finding. Is generally issued by international transporters. Kama Berun, and this is to certify that goods have been imported, they bought a goods or the importer legally owns the goods have been legally acquired, and the goods are of correct value. That is on that one. So the other question is, no, the other one they are asking, number is Roman 2. Purposes of custom and excise duty, that one, 4 measures imposed by the government to prevent dumping. We know that one. You also know the customs warehouse is just the government warehouse, and what we call the boarded. Prohibited goods, you know. Then I think on December 2022, we have on additional on number 4A. You know what's a custom area? Do you know what is a duty-free shop? Okay. When we talk about, you can just write this, the custom area, same. Custom area, same, is an area of custom stations, or warehouse. Custom station or warehouse. Generally, just like a warehouse, where generally the goods, imported or exported goods, are typically sold before being cleared by what? The customs authority. So yeah, ni just the word wanatumia. What about what is a duty free shop?
On which goods, on which or goods which are exempted from excise duty.
Duty?
The shop that sells goods that are exempt excise duty. Excess or import?
Shop. Duty free shop.
Yeah.
Okay, we generally talk about it as shopping without paying duties.
So it's not a shop.
Not a shop. Just where you are shopping without paying duties or taxes. Ni sawa. Hiyo ndo tunaita duty free shop. Hiyo ingine unajua di foreign duty. Because we've been able to talk about it in what we call the duty. Now the other question is number 5A, 5B. You know the documents or instruments that are exempted from stamp duty. Where stamp duty?
No, this is sorry.
Where? Is
It's
it?
not the same thing.
No. Stamp duty unajua ni gani? Au we? Sio ndo kazi ya lawyers. Hatujaongea. Lakini I thought you should be. Now, generally, stamp duty is a tax charged on legal documents. Legal documents, I mean, kama unanunua land, hizi za magari, hizo transfer, mostly it's just on transfer. You know the goods, the items that are subject to the stamp duty. Okay, just right then. Says a tax levied on legal instruments such as the checks. Tax levied on legal documents such as checks, receipts, marriage licenses, land transactions and shares, military commissions, etc. Now let's talk of they were talking about the instruments that are exempt from the stamp duty. Instruments exempt from stamp duty. But one is the transfer of rent to charitable organizations as gifts. Transfer of rent to charitable organizations as gift. But with the transfer of property between spouses, transfer of property between spouses. The one is transfer of family property. Transfer of family property. Transfer of family property. Family property to the members on demise of a family member. To the members on demise of a family member in whose name the property was registered. In whose name the property was registered. In whose name the property was being registered. How many are those? Nataka ngapi? 4. Okay. Can also add transfer to a family trust. The other one is a transfer between associated companies. Transfer between associated companies. The other one is also the first time home buyers. First time home buyers under the affordable housing scheme. Under the affordable housing scheme. That one is also for educational institutions. And educational institution. What we mean is generally, kama kuna sale or transfer of land for construction of or expansion of educational institutions. And also you can say special economic zones. Special economic zones. So all those ones. Anything else? Now the other thing, hiyo ilikuwa the August 2022. August 2022, do we have any? Dumping tumeona on question number 4. Purposes of custom duty hizo tumesoma. April 2022, Okay, question 5. Purposes of free shipment inspections, use mnajua. And also goods exempt. Yeah. And then December 2021 should be the last one. You know what is a clean report of finding? Question 5. Import declaration form. Outline 4 categories of goods which are subject to custom control. Hizo zote tunajua, ndio. December 2021, that was on what we call the pilot paper. Question number 5. Types of taxes under government. Hizo zote tumesoma. Yeah, and that marks the end of what we were required to cover. No. Yes. That means now passing the paper should now be very easy. You've seen? So if I go in our store, just make sure that you read on the theory. Theory is only on those, the introduction to accounting. You also read on what we call the introduction to taxation, and also the excise duty and what? Custom duty. On the computations this time round, I said, make sure that you read on investment allowances. That is a matter of identifying category of its investment allowances. Sawa. Then also you make sure that you read on, I said on this company, there is on, yeah, the admission of a partner, that is on the partnerships. On admission of a partnerships on admission of a partner, you make sure that you read that. I've said on the company, and then sole proprietorship. Non-profit making was there last sitting. There are minimal chances of you having it, but it's also good that you read. So the non-profit making organization. So it's either on those 5 areas that I've talked about, the computation. Investment allowances, which is a must. There is also the one that I've said on the sole proprietorship. Partnership is generally on admission of a partner, the company, and then what we call the non-profit making organization. And that is how easy you'll be able to manage the paper. Sawa. Yeah, so saizi inafaa kuwa easy. Sawa. It was, huh? Yeah. Yes. So that is it. We're going to end at that point for today. And that means also is the rest of the semester. However, for those that are attending physical, Friday, Thursday, we are having a closure from 2 to 4. So make sure that you attend. Yeah, so it's just to wish you the very best. And as I said, especially in the computation part, like hizo zenye zinahitaji entries, just make the entries. Don't waste your energy in balancing the questions. Don't. We just want to see the entries. And the entries means that you have to get the format. So the starting point, ensure that you are aware of the format and you can be able to make the entries regardless of what is there. Just you look at the items that you've been given. And if you can be able to put that, then I'm telling you, passing the paper is just easy. And even getting the awards. There are also awards, the best students. It will also be easy. Some have been here and they have been also been able to go with the awards of the same. So make sure that you also do that. And again, also understand that you are not doing the exam for you, you are also doing it for us as PIP. Because your passing is also our happiness that we see you passing and proceeding to the other level. And also even telling your friends, we come and also help them to go through the journey. So, yeah. So thank you. All the best as you do the paper. And as not forgetting, Remember, I know that some of you is your first time. Ensure that when you are going to the exam room, you have printed your timetable and you have it in a hard copy. We'll just check on it right away. You ensure that you have printed your timetable. When you're going to the exam room, you ensure that you'll be having your ID, or probably if you have been given the class name identification number, can also go with it. So, are we together? And then also the pens that I said you have to use is either blue and out. Yeah, I will insist on that so much. Because if you see the red pen, then even in the examination booklet, they do indicate use a black or a blue pen. So, yeah, so just go do the exam and we meet in the next semester. That remains in September as you go to the next level. If you're having some units in the same level, then we meet in those other units that you are also doing. So, and understand is there is nothing hard in an exam. This is what I do say. If in an exam you find that the exam is hard, just look at the environment of who surrounds you. If you look at all the people, they are behaving the same way you are behaving, understand the exam is hard, and definitely there must be someone who has to pass. And that is what I say, make sure that the person who has to pass is you. And then by passing is through the tricks that I've been able to say in this case. Those that are doing the theory papers, I know in most of the cases you may have some points, usome ya kwanza, ya pili, ya tatu, ufike ya nne umesahau everything. Don't leave the points hanging. And again, also you're not supposed to leave any question. If you are required to do the 5 questions, ensure you do them. This is how you play with the trick of the examiner. If you know the first and the second and the third point, treat the second and the third point to be 4 and 5. Because definitely the examiner will just read the first point and the second point. Before he reaches the third point, amesahau aliona nini kwa the first one. Because in this case, you can twist in a way that you can also see that this is also at the same point. But you have written it in a different way, it will also make you pass. Those that are doing ICT is just an applicable unit. And mostly it's not a must for you to derive all the questions from the what. Because I know even following the notes, in most of the questions, we never find them. Because it's something that relates to how our country is going. If we are advancing in technology, you don't expect everything to be directly from what you've been able to be told. And that is why in this case, your basis should be on what in this case you have been what. You have to open your hardened eyes, not on the basis of the notes that you have been. That is one of the problems that you feel is hard to with ICT. Because we are basing on what is in the notes, but basically there are some of the things that you have to go outside the notes. Because basically it's not all that. We know that technology is changing. And the examiner can ask you anything. Sawa. And mostly they look at the current things. Kama unaangalia the government, you look at the things that are involving technology, you will get some questions on those particular cases. Sawa. Yeah, that is also a way. Nimekuambia, if you want to pass the paper, ensure you answer everything. And also time yourself, because we know generally our questions, you have to do it in 36 minutes. I will keep repeating that. One question, you do it in the 6 minutes. Computation questions, I know those one, if you joke about them, you do them in even 1 hour. And you cannot even exceed 3 questions in computation. So if you master your timing, and mastering your timing is what I'm saying. In my perspective is what I say working smart. Working smart is I don't have to waste my energy in other workings, no. That is why in most of the cases I do my workings when I'm doing the presentation. Because that is, the examiner, nowhere in the paper you will be asked to show your workings. If the working Z marks, I will keep on telling you, start by the workings, they will give you this mark. But the entries, because the examiner is direct, he said if it's statement of profit or loss, there is nowhere in the brackets you see show your workings, no. And that is why you have to be smart, present. I know even doing the format, you can even do the question in 20 minutes. This will help you to compensate on the other one. Yeah, when you have finalized, that is when now you can come out. Then another thing, there is nowhere the examiner has told you you have to start with question number 1. I always tell you start with the question that is very simple to you. Because number 1, it will minimize on your time. Are we together? And it will also give you the motivation of doing the paper. If you start with the hard one, I'm telling you now, you will see the darkness in the paper, and probably you're going to forget about the other what? The other things that you'll have talked about. Sindio? Kwanza zenye ulikuwa unajua, utasahau hizo. That is why read from question 1 to question 5. Uone hii ni ya nini, ni ya nini, ni ya nini. Then from there, as per the examination booklet, unajua ukimaliza swali unaandikanga venye umezifa. Yes. So if you have started with question 5, start with that question 5. And ensure the one that you know, you do it to your maximum. Yes. Sawa sawa. Yeah. So all the best in your paper. Let's just meet in the next semester, in the other units that you're going to take. And thank you for being part and parcel of PIP College. We really, really appreciate. You know, may not have done much, but sure, out of your responses and everything, there are some of the things that we try and ensure that we change. You know? Yeah, so thank you and all the best.